Hi, welcome to Daddykirbs Farm. This morning I'd like to share with you sort of the overall view of my poultry operation. We have chickens, ducks, and a goose. Plenty of roosters you can hear. So on the chickens, I have Silkie chickens, a mixed flock of layers, and then on the ducks I have smaller ducks, which are the Australian spotted ducks, and then some larger ducks, the Rowans, and some Indian runner ducks. And then one goose. I introduced 8. Man, they're really making a racket. I guess they don't like me standing out here. And then the goose, which is April, I introduced her to you in the orchard video. But so I'm going to show you kind of my coop setup. It's always in progress. We're always trying to figure out the best way to manage, the best way to sort things out. But we're getting to a point where it's getting kind of stable. So in this area, I have 1, 2, 3 areas. This whole section here was a double goat pen way back. And one of the goat pens was converted into 2 chicken coops. The other goat pen it's more or less the same shape and configuration of a goat pen, but we use it for putting ducks in there when we want to separate the larger ducks from the smaller ducks, or however we want to do that. So this is the Australian spotted duck coop. This is the Silkie coop. And over here is the goat pen coop that we try to call pen 1 because goat pen coop is confusing considering we also have a goat pen. So I'll bring you in closer to these after I show you the other coop on the other side. This is our main layers flock coop. This is the big coop that we call it, the main chicken coop. And this is where we have 15 layers right now. And right now 3 roosters. Some of those have to find new homes. But we have a mix in here of the Rhode Island Reds, Americanas, the Buffs, some brown leghorns, and maybe 1 or 2 I'm forgetting. But the roosters right now are the Spangled Hamburg, the Barred Rock, and the Rhode Island Red. These 2, they're going to find new homes because we're only going to keep the one that we call Mystery. Mystery is the rooster that we got as a mystery chick from one of the hatcheries, and he turned out to be a Spangled Hamburg rooster. And he's actually a really nice. He's got spurs on his feet this long, but he's a really kind rooster. He doesn't attack us ever, which is nice. These other 2 are a little more aggressive, and we just don't need 3 roosters, so they're going to find new homes. Let me show you one more area that we call the meat coop, and then I'll take you inside some of these coops. This area here is the meat coop. It's not always meat chickens, but it's just what we call it because this was designed primarily to house the chickens that we harvest for meat. Right now we have what they call, I call them Red Rangers, but I think they're really called Freedom Rangers or something like that. But they're a little more hardy, they don't get quite as big as fast as the jumbo whites, jumbo Cornish, or what I like to call the Frankenbirds, because they get so big so fast that they can't even live on their own to full maturity. These are supposed to be able to get to full maturity. And so this is just the corner of a shed that I stripped everything out and I closed it in, and this is the meat coop. There's no perches in here, no roost right now. There will be soon. Because for the most part, the birds that are bred for meat don't get on perches or roosts. They like to just kind of sit on the ground. So I'll take you around back and I'll show you the chicken run that is attached to this coop. So this is the chicken run that we built on the back of the shed. It runs the length of the shed, and there's a little chicken door right there that allows these birds to access an outside space from the meat coop. So I know it's a little hard to see the whole thing from this angle, but I'll pick the camera up and show you the whole length of it. But this allows for us to give, you know, sometimes we've had chickens where we just need a place to separate them and we don't have meat chickens. You know, whether it's a quarantine, somebody's, you know, losing feathers and we're not sure why or whatever, just a place to house them. And we put them in this coop and they have outside space, but they're protected. They're not free range. So now I'll give you some close-ups of all of these spaces. First, I'll start, since we're here, I will start by showing you the whole length of the coop and how it's constructed. So here's a different view of the run on the back of the meat coop. This is a little door. The whole thing is only about 4 feet tall. And you can see it runs the length of the shed. And I think it's about 6 feet out, let's see, from the shed to the outside. So it's 6 feet by, I think we made it 30 feet long or 40 feet. I'm not sure, I can't remember. But it's just 2 before construction attached to the back of the shed. You have to forgive all my junk. I needed a place to lay metal pieces. I didn't want to get rid of those metal pieces because I wasn't sure what I would need in the future. But these chickens, they appreciate being able to get out here. And I put leaves. Some of my co-workers and friends in their neighborhoods, they bag their leaves. And I asked them if they could just give them to me and I would put them to good use. So some of them are in compost piles and others found their way into the chicken coops to give a little bit of mulch and something for the chickens to scratch through. You can see that they are appreciating that right now. Now I just walked inside the main coop. This is the main layers coop. And this is what I call the drawbridge. That's where they get out into the chicken run every morning and they come in every evening. And they roost all up in here. And you can tell I'm due for a good cleaning. But they just roost in the rafters. And they have 6 nest boxes. Now right now the goats can get in here because the goat pen actually is right on the other side of this window. And they can fit through there. So I need to figure out a way to make that opening big enough for chickens but too small for goats. Because what happens with the goats is they start jumping on things and pushing around. You can see I'm pushing off of the wall here. But they haven't knocked it over yet, so that's good. Every once in a while I just come in and start pushing that back. All right, let's go check out the chicken run where the goats and chickens are right now. We're going to go into the goat and chicken run and we're going to go through this new gate system that I just built. This is a double door, a double gate entry system. So now we're in the goat / chicken run and they have messed things up just a little bit, as they do. But this is the outside of the main coop. This is the drawbridge I was talking about. And there's the inside view of the double gate entry system. This is a compost pile that I keep working back up. I keep raking things back up in there, pouring water and nutrients, and the chickens scratch through it, and then I just keep piling it back up. So that's part of my operation here. And then I took some of that leaf mulch and put it in different places. Poured some here, poured some over here, and back in here where they have plenty of space to hide in the shade. I just put a bunch of leaves in there. That will give them something to scratch through. Hopefully will encourage some bugs and worms to come up to the surface, giving them a little something to snack on while they're out here in the run. All right, we're back at the goat pen converted coops, and we're going to go in here and I'll just show you each of the coops on the inside. So we're inside now the duck pen, one of the converted goat pens. You can tell this is the 2 doors. These were 1 goat pen initially, then I split it down the middle and made 2 coops. So this is where the Australian spotted ducks are living. And I'll take you in here. Right now I have the food in this coop to keep it out of the weather and also away from critters. The lid's not on very well right now. but this is an old pallet making a roost. The ducks don't care about that, but when I had chickens in here, they liked it very well. So inside here are a couple of nest boxes that I built, and those are accessible from the outside. But unfortunately, what I discovered was that the rain gets in there and it makes it all wet. So this is not an ideal coop, ideal nest box. It's fine for ducks because they lay on the floor. But I also had to screw down the top so it's not really accessible from the outside, because we were concerned about raccoons coming into the coop from that area, lifting up the lid. And here's my little latch system. It's just a wire with that latch on the outside. I can pull it and come out here and latch it back. All right, so over here we have the Silkies. This rooster here will likely jump at me. He's, we call him King Buttercup. Buttercup was supposed to be a hen, and then he started crowing at some point, so he had to be called King Buttercup. But these are the Silkies and Showgirls. A little sad to report that our best broody showgirl, who looked a lot like this one, her name was Bella, she passed away yesterday. So we lost our best broody hen. She hatched a lot of eggs. Most of these Silkies were hatched by Bella. But again, this is a mirror image pretty much of the one that we're using for the ducks right now. Another pallet for a roost. Nest boxes. Now this box is accessible from the goat pen on the other side. We have a latch on it so we can still open it. It's out of the weather, so rain is not an issue. Now I'll take you over into this pen, which is just the open pen 1 or goat pen. Now the runner ducks, they want to come out, but right now we're separating them. Later on we'll let them free range, but for now we're just keeping them in here. Unfortunately, the ducks do not stick to their own kind, and we're trying to separate the Australian Spotteds who are over there so that we can eventually breed them. But this guy here, this is his name is Camo, and he's an Indian runner duck, and he likes the small hens, and we're a little concerned about what would be the resulting duck if we let him fertilize the small ducks. So in here, it's everything's a little bit of a mess right now. You'll just have to forgive me that. But this is a stack of pallets that creates a little place where they like to come in here and lay eggs in the corner. On the inside, this is the nest box. You can see I have a couple of rat traps just to snag some of those rats that might come in here. This is the latch I ended up putting on the box so that raccoons couldn't open the box, but I could still come out here and collect eggs from the Silkie coop if I want to. Now Silkies a lot of times will lay on the floor as well, so there's usually about half of the eggs in the box and half of them on the floor. This little contraption here was just a board that I hinged to the wall over a feed container. It allowed me to have a lid and a platform where the goats were in here and they like to lay up there. But unfortunately, the rats chewed through the plastic, which is why now we use metal containers. And last but not least, this is April. She right now has gravitated toward the larger ducks. So where they go, she goes, and she spends her nights in the same coop where the larger ducks are kept. And right now that's in with the Australian Spotteds, but we just keep Mr. Camo separated. That's it. Chickens, ducks, and a goose for the very long overview of the poultry operation on the Daddykirbs farm. Thanks for joining me. I'll talk to you soon.